Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. We're inviting you into a story today, one that it starts like a lot of traditional tales,
Yeah.
full of culture, expectations, but it takes a turn pretty quickly into something way more complex, unexpected, really. Just picture this. It's a
Yeah.
wedding night. But instead of joy, there's this deep fear, quiet desperation, and a secret simmering underneath.
It's a really powerful narrative, yeah.
Ooh.
And our mission here in this deep dive is to unpack this incredible story. We're looking at a YouTube transcript, actually, exploring an arranged marriage. And there's a big age gap, hidden family stuff, hidden agendas, but also, remarkably, a journey towards understanding, towards a real connection. So we're going to pull out the surprising bits, the aha moments, and maybe some deeper insights into relationships when things don't go as planned at all.
Exactly. And our source material, as you said, it's a detailed transcript. It's from a romantic novel called Usu Uder, which translates to Sweet Love. It was shared on the YouTube channel KH Voice, which is pretty popular. So let's get into the layers of this. Ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the story kicks off on the wedding night. Our main character is Nilofar. She's just 18. The scene is set beautifully, soft lights, flower garlands, rose petals on the bed, very traditional. Her hands have mendi, henna, which is, standard for brides in many South Asian cultures. Beautiful, intricate stuff. But the Nilofar, she's not feeling it. She's filled with this, the text calls it unknown trepidation, just fear.
Yeah, pure fear. And she's actually wishing she had a degree on her hands instead of the Mendi, thinking, if only I weren't poor. Her heart's just pounding. It's raw.
It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? All this external beauty, the tradition, and then her internal terror. It really hits you how vulnerability, especially poverty, can just strip away choices for young women.
Absolutely. That wish for a degree over Mendi, it's not just like a whim. It's symbolic. It speaks volumes about her trapped dreams,
Yeah.
right? And it's all tied to this debt that's forced her into this situation.
And then he arrives, Asad Khan. He's older, around 30, described as having gravitas. He comes into the room carefully, slowly, and he's expecting, well, source says, a mature, sensible woman.
Right. But that's not what he finds.
Not at all. The moment he sees Nilofar, he's just floored, shocked. The description says he literally stops in his tracks. He sees this underage, timid girl. Apparently, she's quite frail, looks even younger than 18. He's just bewildered, can't move, after waiting years for this moment.
Wow. That disconnect is huge. So what were the arrangers thinking? Or not thinking? But what's interesting is, despite that shock, he seems to shift gears pretty quickly.
He does. He resolves almost immediately to treat her with respect. He thinks something like, okay, she's young, but she is my wife now. The marriage happened. She deserves respect. And he tries to ease her tension, asks her to take off her heavy dupatta, tells her gently, I won't eat you. I will handle you with much love.
That's quite a turnaround from utter surprise to kindness and duty. It tells you something about him, maybe about the cultural weight of the situation, too.
It really is a surprising bit of humanity right off the bat. And Nilofar, despite being terrified, she musters up incredible courage. She actually tells him, she says, I didn't want this marriage. Flat out. Says she wasn't ready.
Wow. On her wedding night.
Yep. She explains her family took a loan from his family, couldn't pay it back. So Assad's sisters apparently demanded her hand as repayment. She also throws in that they offered more money, but later we find out that part wasn't true. She said it out of fear. It was just about forgiving the existing debt. Her dad agreed because, well, poverty.
And Assad's reaction to this confession.
He's genuinely shocked. Apologetic. He insists he had no idea. His sister set it up like that. Expresses remorse, promises to lessen her pain, and agrees she needs time.
Okay, so that initial conversation, despite everything, it sets a surprisingly honest, almost empathetic tone, considering how coercive it all was.
Yeah.
That's a really key moment for their potential bond, I guess.
It is. But that surprising empathy, it gets tested fast. Assad's really disturbed by what Nilofar told him. He goes up to the roof to think. He's reflecting on the 10 years he spent working abroad, busting his gut, all that time dreaming of a partner, someone sensible, strong, and mature who could understand him, share the load.
And instead, he feels like he got this. He feels betrayed, right, by his own mother and sisters, questioning their judgment, what they've chosen for him. He's grappling with disappointment, big time.
Meanwhile, Nilofar is downstairs praying, crying, full of deep sorrow. She actually regrets hurting Asad with her confession, regrets her own foolishness, she thinks. She's praying for strength, for understanding, for his heart to soften. And she's terrified of divorce, the stigma,
Yeah, absolutely. So she's caught between relief at having spoken up and terror about the consequences, desperately looking for a way through this mess.
And while they're both lost in their own anxieties, guess who's already stirring the pot?
Let me guess. The sisters.
Bingo. Back in his mother's room, the sisters, Mawish, Sakina, and Jannat, are already making assumptions. They immediately figure Nilofar didn't, quote, give brother his right. Mawish, who seems to be the ringleader, she says, these village girls are like this, I'll fix her mind in the morning. Right away.
So they're not just observers, they're active antagonists from the start, controlling it. It sets a really ominous tone for Nilofar.
Totally. And the Mawish goes right up to Asad on the roof, and she lays on this, you called it poisonous counsel. It really is. She kind of subtly suggests Nilofar's playing him, manipulating him, tells him he needs to be a man, assert his dominance, warns him, if you don't, she will always suppress you.
Wow. That's direct interference. And does she justify it?
She does, and this is crucial. She uses their own mother as an example. Says their mom got married at 15, had Asad by 22, so Nilofar's age is perfectly fine for marriage and, well, all its duties.
Ugh. Using tradition to justify control, that's a classic manipulation tactic.
Yeah.
And this conversation, it changes Asad, you said.
Visibly, Mawish plants that seed of doubt, and it takes root immediately. When Asad comes back down from the roof, his whole vibe is different, ice cold. He walks right past Nilofar, ignores her completely, goes to the washroom, then lies down on the bed, back turned to her, ignores her questions, ignores the wedding gifts her family sent.
Oh, that's devastating for Nilofar.
Yeah.
After that brief moment of connection they had earlier.
Completely devastating. She's confused, hurt. She presses him, asks what's wrong, and he just explodes, tells her to stay in your place, says he knows the cunningness of girls like you.
Whoa. He bought into Mawish's narrative hook, line, and sinker.
Seems like it. And then he drops the bomb, threatens divorce, says he doesn't need a wife who just causes him trouble.
Heartbreaking, especially after he'd promised her time and understanding. Shows how powerful that family influence is.
It really does. But then the story pivots again. It shows Asad's not entirely lost to his sister's influence. Nilofar is beside herself, crying, praying, pleading against divorce, says she'd rather die than face that shame back home. And seeing her raw vulnerability, her absolute terror, it gets through to him. He softens. He assures her he won't leave her, comforts her, holds her, tells her it'll be okay.
Okay, so that's another pivotal moment. He sees her distress, maybe pushes back against the poison his sister fed him. His empathy, or maybe something deeper, is starting to win out.
It seems that way. His true feelings might be starting to surface, but the peace doesn't last long. There's another incident that fuels his suspicion about his family. He finds Nilofar later, totally exhausted, looking disheveled, and she's cleaning the floor.
Cleaning the floor.
Yeah.
On, like, the day after her wedding.
Exactly. He asks her what's going on. She explains that Mari Baji, that's Mawish, the older sister, told her to do all the housework.
Unbelievable. Oh, so they're already treating her like staff. Assad must have been furious.
He was absolutely furious. He's realizing his sisters are actively trying to undermine things, to exploit her, turn her into basically an unpaid servant. But even that pales in comparison to what he overhears next.
Oh, fuck no.
He walks near his mother's room and hears his mom and sisters talking, and they are laying it all out explicitly. Their whole plan was for Nilofar to be a free maid, manage the house, take care of the mother. They're mocking Asad, saying he'd never fall for an educated girl anyway. And this arrangement means, quote, no bother of children.
No bother of children, just wow.
They basically sum it up. Now we will have peace in life. Meaning they will have peace because Nilofar will do all the work. The text says Asad's fists clenched. He finally grasped the full depth of their betrayal, their calculation.
That is just chilling. She wasn't a daughter-in-law. She was a strategy, a free maid. It wasn't just about the debt repayment. It was about securing lifetime unpaid labor and control. You can see why his fists clenched. It's a betrayal on so many levels. Against him, against her.
Absolutely. And this realization, this raw anger, it spurs him into action, drastic action. He comes up with a plan, a pretty wild one, actually.
Okay, what does he do?
He hires a nurse, a woman named Maheen. Then he introduces Maheen to his mother, his sisters, and Nilofar as his second wife.
His what? Second wife? Seriously?
Seriously. He tells them, with Maheen here, the burden of the house will be divided. It's an incredibly bold, almost theatrical move, a total gambit.
I'll say. What's the reaction?
Predictable chaos. The sisters are shocked and indignant. Their whole scheme just got blown up, but Poor Nilofar. She's
Ah,
completely devastated. She just started to maybe feel something for him, maybe trust him a little. Now she thinks he's actually taken a second wife. She runs off crying, retreats to the kitchen, feels totally betrayed again.
oh, that's rough. His strategy worked on the sisters? Maybe, but at a huge emotional cost in the Nilofar.
Right. But he doesn't leave her hanging for long. He goes to her later, he comforts her, explains the whole thing. Maheen isn't his wife. She's just a nurse, hired as a caretaker for his mother, and to manage the household staff he plans to hire. He tells Nilofar he did it all as a deception, to teach his sisters a lesson, and crucially, to protect her. He admits he's genuinely come to love her.
Ah, okay. So the truth comes out. That must have been a massive relief for Nilofar eventually.
Yeah.
And it reveals his true motive, protection, and now love.
Exactly. And this leads to one final confession from Nilofar. Remember how she first told him his sisters offered more money for the marriage besides forgiving the debt?
Yeah, the part she later admitted wasn't true.
Right. Well, now, in this moment of honesty, she formally corrects that lie. She tells him clearly they didn't give her family any extra money, they only forgave the debt. And Assad's response is pretty amazing.
What does he say?
He tells her he knew that already.
He knew all along.
Seems so. Or figured it out. He basically reaffirms his acceptance of her, lie and all, his love for her.
Wow, that's deep trust and forgiveness right there.
Yeah.
A really solidifying moment for them.
It really is. And that's basically where we reach the resolution. It's peaceful. Assad reassures Nilofar, holds her, kisses her forehead. The sisters, their plans totally wrecked, eventually leave the house. And Nilofar voices her dream again. She wants to continue her education. And Assad, who was actually a professor when he worked abroad, readily agrees. He'll support her.
So they find their way from that awful, fear-filled beginning based on debt and deceit to an actual bond. Understanding, respect, love. It's quite a journey.
Incredible journey, yeah. It really highlights the damage family manipulation can do, but also the courage it takes to face truths, and how, well, compassion and talking, really talking, can fix even really broken situations.
And Assad stepping up, championing her against his own family. That's huge. Redefining loyalty.
It's a powerful story. Makes you think about how relationships can bloom in the strangest soil, Tackles big themes, societal pressure, having your own voice, agency, and love finding a way.
It definitely does. And maybe it leaves us, and you listening, with a thought. In our own lives, maybe not as dramatic as this, but
Yeah.
what subtle manipulations might we face?
Yeah.
At work, in relationships, and do we have the clarity, the courage to see the truth and act on it, like Assad eventually did?
That's a great question to chew on. Something to ponder long after this deep dive ends.